Awful quiet today. Uh, I guess they're pushing pre-registration. Who's your advisor, Kim? Contacted him yet? You should. Kayla, I'm your advisor. You signed up, did you?
Yes.
Hey, Ted, did you and did you sign up for today? Ted, I didn't get your email. Did you get a doctor? Say it asking for you, so I can get these in it too.
Yeah, we did my schedule, but of course I want you to look back over.
Okay. But that, got a register in, right?
I went ahead and just put in the classes that I had mine.
Right. So it's not hard to register, like you're saying, at that key. Now, this is in most people, probably on my advisee list too, about the end for Sarah promised that was not on that list, they sent it. So I'm not good sources to be. They told her it's her birthday. That then is nothing near what's your birthday. No, nothing near. So, anyway, I had the classes here today, Giorgio, he said something about possibly having some kind of tennis thing today. That would put Giorgio in tennis also. So that's two of our students. And I guess the rest are live streaming or trying to do something. Okay, let's stick with your book a few minutes today, and I'm also going to bring up PowerPoint. For chapter 8, I guess it's chapter 8. Okay, now this is chapter 8. This is budgeting, and we talked about a master budget. And first thing we started with was a sales budget. Does anybody need a? Yeah, I put some forms up here. Do you need one of these, Kevin? All right, do you need one? Kevin? And you don't need one. Basically, I'll tell you real quick, what's the prices we have now? Need a bank account, yes. And invoice system, that's electric. Right. One of them will go under your two electives account restricted. One of them will go down under three business electives. Two business electives and one any elective. So they'll go as elective. One of them, they will go in two different places. Yeah, I would. Mr. I was going to change that to QuickBooks Pro. It'd be good to have QuickBooks Pro in your curriculum. It'd be easy to have. Gotta have one, you gotta have it many. Sometimes you gotta have business strategy, production money. So I don't see anything. Fantastic one, two, that calls, that manage room, and then a meeting. Depends on which catalog you're coming in. I'll bet the catalog. This your catalog, but don't have those. Doesn't have a semester 7 restricted, county elected, restricted business elected. So that can be the BIT, the intern. Semester 8, one street to accumulate. All these arrangements are good. This is a new catalog.
I'll print it off.
I see another business last after six. So, but, it says, okay, those are okay. All right.
I just don't mind taking another one.
And you got the same thing that she, all is the same thing that she.
Yes.
She's taking business strategy, I'm gonna take that spring semester, and I would put this international business on.
This is strategy open every semester.
That's what's.
Steve said business strategy open every semester. International business, it's not open every semester, is it?
I don't know if it's,
When you come in, when y'all come in and see me, I'll get some forms down from Michelle. The 90-hour evaluation, so you can see where you are, and we'll look at a current catalog and make sure. I don't think you have to take international business, but we'll wait and see, okay? I know it was in one catalog, okay? But come in, Giorgio.
We just came back from.
Is it raining out or something?
A little bit.
Okay, then, if Robert would turn around, we'll get started. I don't want to talk to the back of Robert's head. All right. But we're talking about these budgets, and we've had them before, and we don't need to spend a lot of time on them. But sales budget is important. You got to work with every other departments. In the day of computers and networking, a very big firm, the sales department can work with the production department and the marketing department and every department, accounting department, just by computers. You don't have to be face to face with the people or even talk to them. That's the way a lot of it's done nowadays. And maybe you're working with somebody even in another state. All right, same thing with your factory workers and so forth. So this information is readily available. So you got a sales budget, production budget, and you got your purchases budget for your materials for production. And you got your overhead budget that goes along with production, and then you've got labor. So again, you got the three ingredients: materials, labor, and overhead that goes into making a product, and that's production. All right, and then of course, your overhead budget, you may have an activity base, estimate overhead cost. If we're doing applied overhead, you know what your bases are. And now we're into a selling administrative budget. And we have fixed and variable selling administrative. And now we're getting down to the final thing, which is the cash budget. This is what I want us to be able to do, a cash budget, okay? Now, in your chapter on budgeting, I gave you some problems for today. Kayla, you know what problems they were, exercises or whatever?
19, 20, 22, 26, 27.
19 what?
20, 22, 26, 27.
All right. Cash collections and disbursements, we need to come up to that. Accounts receivables are a big part of collection, and accounts payable is a big part of purchases and your lag times. And we looked at those lag times. The best way to do is practice them. How to improve cash flow. Now we're on cash flow in principles, and you will have cash flow. I believe we have a chapter, well, we had a chapter in manager on cash flow. You have a chapter in finance on cash flow. And we had a chapter in principles on cash flow. Cash flow is your fourth official accounting statement, along with the balance sheet, income statement, and your capital statement or your retained earnings statement, depending if you're a corporation or in proprietorship. All right, so cash flow is important, and it's an important part of your budget. And capital budget we're throwing here, that's for equipment. Capital budget includes purchasing plant and equipment, long term. So now we've got a cash budget, operating budget, which is called a capital budget, and cash budget. Then we get into income statement, cost of goods manufactured. Now, maybe I mentioned this the other day, and I did mention Giorgio answered. So I'll ask 10. 10, what is a pro forma income statement? You remember what Giorgio said? All right. Caleb, what is pro forma income statement? You remember what Giorgio said? What? Into the future? Yeah. What did you say, Giorgio? Projected income statement. It's a made-up income statement. It could be based on facts. We can do a cash budget made up, but it will not be actual. We can do an income statement made up for 2019. 2019 not here, but that's pro forma. That's used in planning, and that's used in budgeting sometimes. So the financial budget, now we've got a statement of retained earnings. And you can look at what all these budgets, advantages of budgeting. Look at the kinds of budgeting. Continuous budget, a budget slack, participatory budget, and imposed budgets. Now, I'm not going those in detail. We always have ethical issues in budgets or anything. Now, the college up here, I think they have ethical issues in budgets. And one of my big complaints is that each school does not get their own budget. The dean of the School of Business should have their own budget. How much they spend on instructor travel, we can update equipment, we don't get that. The Department of Finance sure handles everything. I guess you call that micromanaging it. What have you. It's not good to be a micromanager sometimes. So now let's go to the problems. And Kayla said one was on 19, and that's just simply a sales budget. And let me see if I can bring up a solution. So go to page 332, be reading problem 19. All right, if we read this problem, we've got the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Now, the product selling price is expected to decline and the result of technology changes. So I guess we're starting out with $17, it declined 16, 14, 12, okay? And what we're doing with a sales budget, we've got the first quarter, second, third, fourth. And talking with customers, the sales department discovered that sales quantities per quarter could vary, I guess, substantially. Thus, the sales manager has provided the following 3 sets of quarterly sales projection. All right, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4 total. Scenario A, B, C total. So scenario A, if we use the figures he gives us, first, second, third, fourth quarter, 29,480. Scenario B, 29,300. Scenario C, revenue would be, or sales will be 39,170. All right, the most financially beneficial scenario would be C, of course, bigger better. However, given the large discrepancy in sales quantities per quarter, here 530, 480, 800, 190. All right. There would need to be a large inventory build up for the third quarter. 530, 480, up to 800, which would increase the cost of non-value added cost of moving and storing these units. The extreme decline in the fourth quarter sales, 190, might result in layoffs if other value-added activities could not be developed for direct labor employees. So, sure, C sounds better, but the one where you may not lay off employees might be either A or B, or you're producing, I guess your smallest here would be 250, here would be 3. One of these scenarios would be better to keep your labor force intact, because here you'd have to lay them off. So anyway, let's go on and look at number. Anybody have a question on that one? No, let's look at number 20. All right, this company has the following projected units for sale January through April. Company policy is to have a ending inventory equal to 5% of the next month's estimated sales. However, the criteria was not in effect at the end of 2013. Ending inventory at that time was 700,000 units. Determine the company's production requirements for each month of the first quarter for 2014. All right, Giorgio, did you get anything on that exercise?
No, I don't have my notes.
Okay, Kayla, do you have any projections on that one? All right, what was your answer for January? All right. Let's take a real quick look at it. That was number 20, I guess. You had the 100,200. Okay, what you did, here's your sales. Ended inventory, you want 5%. Is that 5% of 102.4? Was that 5% of 96,000? Somebody multiply 5% times 96,000. Is that 4,800? Just multiply 5% times 96,000. What does that give you?
Say again, the numbers. It's 4,800.
Is it 4,800? All right, now take 5% of 128,000. That's 6,400. All right. Did they give you a number? How did you get this 7,680? They give you the next month. They give you April. They gave you April, didn't they? Okay. So we take our sales. plus our desired ending inventory, total required each month. Now, beginning inventory is from carried over from last period. Your ending inventory in January is your beginning in February. Your ending in February is your beginning for March. So anyway, you come up 100,200. Kayla, did you get 97.6? Did you get 129,280? Okay. All right, so that's not hard to come up with a production budget. Okay. Now let's look at number, was it 21? 21 or 22? All right, now that's production, materials, and labor budgets. All right, the finished product requires 3 pounds of raw materials and 10 hours of direct labor. All right, you have a prepare production budget for February, March, and April. Prepare a forecast of the units and cost of raw materials that will be incurred. Prepare a direct labor budget, assuming. All right, let's go ahead and just straight out look at this one for a moment. January, February, March, April. First off, we got sales. All right. Where's your ending inventory come from? Where's the 1,700 come from? We gotta figure out where everything comes from. We'll have to read again or whatever. Where does your 1,700 come from? Kevin, you got that? Okay, Tanya, do you have 1,700 on 22A? All right, where'd it come from? $1,700 in the inventory. Where'd it come from? You can't tell me. I'm going to have to read again. They give you sales of 300. That's flat out given to you. Ending inventory. I'm going to have to read again. The finished product requires 3 pounds of raw materials and 10 hours of direct labor. They try to maintain a finished goods inventory equal to the next 2, of course, months. All right, still, where does 1,700 come from? Has anybody found that? Look at your problem, look at your book. All right, Robert says February is 700 and March is 1,000. And as I read it, it says take the next 2 months. So the next 2 months is February and March, 700 and 1,000. That's the 1,700. Now, where do we get the 1,900? We'll have to look at that in a moment. But right now, we'll deal with January. All right, so sales 300 and the inventory 1,700. We need 2,000. Now, where does your beginning inventory come from? That's what they give you, I guess. Let's see. Robert, do you see how they got the beginning inventory? All right. Got the ending inventory. January's beginning inventories are expected to conform to company policy. Does everybody see where the 1,000 comes from? And you got to produce 1,000. Everybody see where the 1,000 comes from? Lorenzo still doesn't see that 1,000.
Because it says the company policy.
The what?
It says that conforms to the company policy, but what's the company policy?
What's company policy? All right. Joe, do you see that 1,000, where that 1,000 comes from?
Oh, company policy.
Okay, Robert, explain that again. Robert saw it there. Where'd that 1,000 come from?
It's in January and February, you just said again,
All right, it's January and what?
February.
It was the last 2 months. Yeah, it was these 2 months, okay? Now the 1,700 comes from February, March, right? That's 2 future months. Unit inventory comes from the current month plus 1 future month. Now, to prove that, 700 and 1,000 is 1,700. And 1,900 is 1,900. Okay? And when they say the system company policy, it was based on how you found that, ending inventory. Find the beginning inventory. So, all right, look at look right here.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, 700, 1,700, right? Right, 1,900 ending would be your beginning, and 1,000, I mean, 1,300 beginning would be your ending.
yeah, the question was like about the first.
Yeah, that question was confusing, yeah. And the first one probably was
Yeah.
hard to see. Okay, so that's A part. Now, B part, they want us to prepare a forecast of the units and cost of raw materials that will be required for February, March, and April. The expected cost per pound are $2, $2.30, and $2.40. Okay, inflation, we're going up. $2, $2.30, $2.40. Okay, units produced, 900, 400, 300. I'm trying to see. That was given, wasn't it? Yeah, 900, 400, 300 was given for April, May. Okay, this is given, but now pounds required is 3 pounds per unit. So we're going to need raw materials of 27, 12, and 9. Now, the $2 and $2.30 and $2.40 are given. Now, what do we need to figure out here? How do we find ending inventory? How do we find ending inventory? 1350. Read it. How do we find ending inventory is the question. Did it have anything to do with the problem here? It doesn't look so. This, here we did January, February, March, April. Here we're doing February, March, April. All right, somewhere it should say 50%. You want 50%. 50% of 27 is 1350. 50% of 12, 50% of 9. How does it word that? I didn't see the wording on it, so maybe I should read it again. Prepare a forecast of units and cost of raw materials that will be required for February, March, April. The expected cost per pound is expected to be. Was there anywhere in the problem that you knew to take 50% of 27, 12, and 9 to get your ending inventory?
Says raw materials in the inventory equal to 1/2 of the current month's production needs.
Okay, it had to tell you, okay, 1/2, okay. So it had to tell you 1/2 for 50% is how you get the 1356 and the 450. So pounds of raw materials needed, okay? Pounds of raw materials needed, pounds of raw material in beginning inventory. All right, this would be in 50% of the last month, January. This is 50% of 2,700, and this is 50% of 1,200. Okay, so again, you got that lag month there, forward or backwards, and get your inventory. So you can get it. So pounds required times $2, $2.30, and $2.40. And that should be your part B. Raw materials, I guess. Now, prepare direct labor budget, assume $12 per hour for February, March, and April. Now let's look at the direct labor budget. 900, 400, and 300, same as here. Units produced, direct labor hours per unit, $10. 10 hours, 10 hours, 10 hours. And then your cost, 12, 12, 12, and cost of direct labor is pretty easy. No tricks on it at all. Any questions? Kayla, what was the next one, 26? I tried to scatter these out to lead up to one final budget. 26 on page 334, budgeted purchases, budgeted cash payments. All right, this company is preparing a cash budget for 2014. Budget data is cost of goods sold, accounts payable, inventory, and desired inventory. The inventory, beginning inventory is 60,000, January 1. Ending inventory desired is 84, December 31. Purchase will be made in 12 equal monthly amounts and paid for in the following month. Compute the budgeted cash payments for purchases for 2013. All right. This one shouldn't be too bad. Cost of goods sold, 600,000, given. Ending inventory, 84, given. Beginning inventory, given. That means you have purchased 624,000. And if you divide that by 12 months, 52,000 months, so that's not bad at all. And you begin ending inventory that you want. Subtract your beginning inventory, 624. Well, the difference is 600. The difference here is 24 between those two and to it. But anyhow, 624. That's not hard to figure out how much purchase to buy when. Okay, Kayla, did I sign number 27? Okay, cash collections. Oh, we didn't finish looking at that one. We got 52,000. Payment for current year would be 11 months. Beginning accounts payable balance. So your cash payments, 612. All right, here is all your lag times. Always concerned if you get those lag times. September, October, November. Now, where does all your collections come from? Let's skip down. This is September. 40% of your sales in September are cash sales. Now, 20% of September sales, 9,600. All right. Something's not making sense here. I don't like the way to do all these percents. Where did the 78,000 come from? Given. All right. Cash sales for September, that's easy enough. All right, now September, you collected 20%. No, that's not adding up. Is that 60% of 80,000 times 20%? I don't like the way they're doing that. All right, 6% of 80,000 would be 48,000 times 20%. It's 20% of 48,000, 9,600. Like 48,000, is it? Okay, but you gotta use all these percents, all right? I don't think you have to do that. We'll look at it later. Okay, so this September, October, November. Now, you were supposed to do that. You had your book and you had Moodle. So I want you to do number 28. Do number 28 in the next 5 or 6 minutes. Number 28. All right, that was not a sign, was it? So I want you to do number 28, A part only. Now you can set up their lag time the way they do here, or you can set it up one of the old ways we did managerial. So you don't have a book, Giorgio? You and Lorenzo work together then.
Yeah. That's why it's like.
Okay, look, come back and look at this exercise for a moment. Where they got it down here was confusing to me. Here you simply collect 40% of 80,000, which is how much? 32. Now, it depends on how the book reads. It says you will collect 20% of credit sales and you will collect 80% of credit sales. Now, credit sales is 48,000. All right, that's 80,000. I'm sorry, you collected 40% down. 40% of 80,000 is 32, and that leaves 48. So all you got to do is 48,000 times 20 and 48,000 times 80. You can get lost in these percents the way they're showing them. So credit sales 48 times 20%, credit sales 48 times 80%. Now that's the easiest way for me to do it, but if you want to get bogged down in their percent, you can. October, for example, 40% of 95,000 is 38. All right. Now, whatever is left, what is 38 from 95? What is 38 from 95? That may be 57. Huh. I don't know what happened either. There it is. If that's 57, credit sales times 20%. And then 57 credit sales times 80%. That's easier for me, but you do it the way they're doing it if you want to. Okay. Take a couple more minutes on that one.
When it says that the sale, like, there is like 1% discount over the sale, like in from 28. It says there is this 1% of discount if you like, if you get the cash in the.
So you're only collecting 39%. Wait a minute, you're collecting 40%.
Yeah, and then like they say that it.
But that's minus 1%.
Minus,
yeah, you did not get that.
But it's gonna be minus 1% of the whole sale or of the cash that you get.
Only what you collected that month, the 40%.
It's gonna be the 1% of the 40%.
Right, okay, let's take what month are you starting with? January, February, March?
November. Starts in November. Not sure.
No, you're doing the budget for January, February, March. You're not doing November.
Oh, well, I mean, anyway, yeah, okay.
Okay, January, 79,000. How much of that are you going to collect? 40%.
Yeah.
But you gave a 1% discount. Okay,
What about the rest 60%?
no discount. All right, let me show you that, what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and take a look at it, folks, together. Wait a minute, where's the 30% coming from? Did I read something wrong?
Yeah, no, because the sales.
Did they collect 30% or
No,
40?
they collect the sales of 2 months before, like 30% of the sales of 2 months before they get the new.
Oh, yeah, so we don't need that, you're right, okay. January sales, 40% of 79,000,
Okay.
but you take out the 1%. So, first off, multiply 40% times 79,000.
Oh, so it's gonna be, okay, I got it. So it's gonna be the 1%.
No, now how much is that? What's 40% of 79,000? 30 what? Do it exactly.
31,600.
All right, now multiply that by 1%. That's 0.01.
316.
And subtract that out.
31,600.
31,600. Subtract out that 1%.
Yeah, 31,284.
All right, now that's one way to get that, Lorenzo. Okay. But now you could have multiplied by 99%. They don't have this set up the smartest way. Now let's try something else. I'm not going to tell this, but it should work. Multiply 79,000 times 39%. Decimal 39.
Should be straight 31,300.
79,000.
30,000.
Did it work?
No.
Why don't it work? It won't work with it. Huh? So we gotta get to 40%. Oh, okay, because we would be taking the discount out of the whole 70. Yeah,
That's what they did.
yeah, we'll be taking out the whole 79. We can't. We're gonna take the 40% first, then take out the 1%. Take the 40% first, then minus 1%, would work. And they should have had this set up something like this. All right, you can do this or minus 1% would still work, okay? 1% of the cash you collected. But whatever you do there. Okay, let's see if there was any other problems along the way. Now that's easy to see. 30%. Now what's the 30%? Was that sales in December? What was that for? What up here?
That's January sale.
And this was 30% of January,
Yeah, but they go to March.
Oh, that's December.
December,
sales.
30% of December. And this was 30% of, what, 79, is that January?
Yeah.
And then this was 40% of 88 minus 1%, that's cash sales, okay.
What about in the second December sales? They took out only 30% of 76,000 and then again 30% of 76,000.
Yeah, but because they go in different months. Like,
But you said you have to take out 20%.
No, it's a 2-month lag thing,
yeah, but then
it's 30% here,
the December part, but you cannot see the December.
And-
40% is imagine that is like, but it's not there. So it's like you're just at 30% in January.
Is that what you're referring to right here and here,
Yeah.
Giorgio? See, you've got this down here for January too. 30%. It depends how it reads, okay? How does it read about that 30%? 30%, let's see, all collections within the month of sale are net of the 1%. 40% is typically cash sale. All right. Well, did you see that, Giorgio? I think Lorenzo was trying to tell you. Do you see the 30%? I wouldn't necessarily set it up this way. I would set it up some other
But we
way.
don't collect the whole amount of sale. There's leftover bad debts everywhere.
They say to current.
January, whatever your sales were, you collected 30% in February, and you collected 30% in March, and you collect your other 40% cash. All right. So, but your 40, 30, and 30 makes 100.
Yeah, that makes 100, but if you add all the numbers, it's 70.
Now, we could have done like your other problem did, which they're confusing. They're doing it different. Here, you could have said, 40% for cash, and they set this up different. They're doing the 30%, 30%, 40%, the 79, 40, 30, 30. They set it up different than what 27 did.
Yeah, because they're ignored.
All right.
All right. Anyway, we need to experience them with collections, however they set it up. You set it up however you want, but you got to read it right in the first place. So for homework, let's try 30, 31. That is cash collections. Now we're going to have to do cash disbursements, 34. And then we're going to do a cash budget. Well, those are just submitted amounts. Let's try 36. We'll practice more of these later, but I'm going to jump you all the way over to 54. Now, we're going to practice some problems in between. But here is some cash collections, cash disbursements. Now, problem number 54, if you can read that, is a complete cash budget. Okay? Okay, that's your homework assignments. Any questions? All right. If not, we will cancel class. Remember about pre-registration.